For 2.5 years, two Essex probate and family court judges, John C. Stevens and Peter C. DeGangi, were handling cases which were dismissed and pending on appeal. This makes whatever they did during that time legally invalid. Once a case is dismissed and the dismissal is appealed, the trial court loses jurisdiction over the matters pending on appeal, because at this point the appeals court takes charge of the matter. So, why would the probate court judges continue to handle the matters which they did not have the right to handle? The reason is simple: money, a jackpot for the lawyers involved and a token of appreciation for the judges, who made the trick work. With Judge DeGangi's blessing, in September 2004, the lawyers who managed to pull the trick got to divide among themselves at least $516,000. How did they do that? They instructed several financial institutions to liquidate several bank accounts belonging to 3 private individuals who did not owe any money to anybody. Nevertheless, they lost $516,000 in cash and billions of dollars in unrealized income. Instead of enjoying the fruits of their professional careers, they spent years fighting a cruel litigation fabricated by a group of lawyers and 3 state court judges. As in any such scheme, somebody had to receive the stolen goods in a legal-looking way. This required a decision about who should be a court-appointed receiver. Judge DeGangi's golfing buddy, attorney Anthony M. Metaxas, seemed like a perfect choice, a local gray eminence of sorts, and a partner in the prestigious North Shore law firm Metaxas, Norman & Pigeon. But how about Judge Stevens? Was he left out? No. Judge Stevens, apparently in need of some cash, did not even wait for the final heist. In May 2004, he simply ordered one of the defendants in the dismissed cases to write a check for $1,500 to the judge of Essex Probate Court as a condition of the defendant's release from the arrest ordered by Judge DeGangi 3 days earlier. Normally, any court-ordered fine is paid to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, but in this case, nothing is normal, so Judge Stevens figured, what the heck, and personally cashed the check and pocketed the money.
There'll be a further order that will read, Chester Chatnikowski shall be released from custody upon payment of $1,500 to Judge of Probate Court and $300 to Essex Sheriff's Department for executing the capias.
So how is it possible that the Essex Probate Court judges are allowed to handle dismissed cases, order defendants to write checks, and personally cash the checks obtained from the defendants? Is anybody watching what the judges are doing? Not really. One of the persons who should be supervising the court's affairs is the Registrar of Essex Probate, Pamela Casey O'Brien. But Pamela Casey O'Brien is too busy to do her job, since she jogs and shops during her work hours, as documented by the I-Team and Joe Brigantino.
Tonight, an I-Team investigation every Bay State taxpayer should see.
Our hidden cameras catch a highly paid elected official not putting in a full day's work for a full day's pay. I-Team reporter Joe Brigantino shows us another example of what's wrong with the court system.
You should be as lucky as Pamela Casey O'Brien. She reports to no one. She can take as many vacation days, personal days, and sick days as she wants. And she takes home a hefty salary, almost $89,000 a year. Casey O'Brien is the Register of Probate for the Essex County Probate and Family Court in Salem, now serving her second term in this elected job. Responsibilities: to keep track of the county's probate court records and to oversee an office with 40 employees and a $1.3 million budget. The court system's Code of Professional Responsibility says a register must, quote, devote the entire time during normal court hours to the duties of his or her office. But is Pamela Casey O'Brien doing that? Listen to this person who's worked in the court system. How many hours is she putting in on an average?
On average, I'd say about 4 to 4.5 hours a day.
So the I-Team decided to watch Casey O'Brien. On this particular day, she arrives at the courthouse in Salem at 8:21. At 12:25, there's Casey O'Brien leaving the courthouse. Total time on the job, 4 hours, 4 minutes. So what else did Casey O'Brien do on this day? At 12:35, our hidden cameras caught her food shopping in Peabody. She didn't just run inside for a few items. That's her leaving the store with a shopping cart full of groceries. After she leaves the market, at 1:10, she stops to gas up her Mercedes. By 1:30, she's back home unloading all of her shopping bags, but doesn't stay there for long. At 2:32, Casey O'Brien heads out for about a 5-mile run on the streets of Saugus. Shortly after 3:30, she's back at home and then leaves again, but doesn't go back to work. An unusual day for Casey O'Brien? Not from what we saw. The I-Team tracked O'Brien's work habits for several days over several weeks. We never saw her put in a full day's work for a full day's pay. Average hours worked, about 4 hours a day. On one day when she arrived just before 11 a.m. and left around 5, she spent an hour and 15 minutes of that time shoe shopping in Swampscott with a coworker. So what does Casey O'Brien have to say about all this? She had spotted us a few days earlier and was expecting us. We wanted to talk about the hours you've been working.
Yes, please do.
Sure. We've watched you for several days over several weeks.
Yes.
You work about 4 hours a day.
No, that's not true.
Oh, we have the videotape to prove it.
Here.
We watched you shopping, running. Remember that?
I run during the day during my lunch, and I may shop during my lunch.
Well, on that day you only worked 4 hours.
Here's my card. We'll talk about it then. Tomorrow morning I'll be there at 8 o'clock.
Will you answer our questions, though?
Just as I always am every day, 8 o'clock.
But you'll answer our questions.
I will do an interview, Joe, at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. I gave you my card. Thank you very much.
We called back to the courthouse at 8 o'clock the next morning, but Casey O'Brien refused to do an on-camera interview. Instead, she sent us this accounting of some of her time away from work, saying it was sick time, personal time, family medical leave, or vacation. Her explanation for her work habits, this is a quote. Like most working parents, I am constantly balancing my work responsibilities and my family obligations. This in no way takes away from my deep commitment and dedication as Register of Probate.
It is cheating. It's cheating the taxpayers.
Pam Wilmot heads up the government watchdog group Common Cause of Massachusetts. We told her what the I-Team observed.
I think the public has the right to be upset about this and demand that it change, and change immediately.
So who in state government can investigate Casey O'Brien's work habits? The court system's Committee for Professional Responsibility. If that committee recommended discipline, the state's highest court would have the final say. Now, as for the bigger issue here, why registers of probate are accountable to no one but voters every 6 years, don't expect our legislature to change that anytime soon. For politicians in Massachusetts, being register of probate is like going to heaven without dying, and they want to keep it that way. I'm I-Team reporter Joe Bergantino, CBS 4 News.
Despite the public exposure, a year after the I-Team piece was aired, Pamela Casey O'Brien is still enjoying the perks of her position. Mysteriously, Judges Stevens and DeGangi are both gone from the Essex Probate Court. Judge Stevens supposedly retired, although he still had 2 years until the mandatory retirement at 70. Judge DeGangi, on the other hand, got promoted. This must be an appreciation for his role in the $516,000 heist, which helped pay the bills of a dozen or so lawyers. Judge DeGangi took the position of the Chief Justice of the Middlesex Probate and Family Court in Cambridge, vacated by Judge Beverly Weinger-Gorstin, amidst a scandal precipitated by an I-Team's piece exposing bizarre work habits of Middlesex Probate Court judges.